I am hate. When you look at me, you look at hate.
When I look at you, I look at hate.
When you look at me, you know what hate is.
Hey everybody, this is Atticus, TheDeathMetaller, and welcome to another and exciting episode of the TheDeathMetaller Reviews. Here on this episode, we are going to be reviewing the band After the Burial and their latest release, Evergreen. And as always, with every other TheDeathMetaller Reviews episode, let us do a little history and bio of the band. Now shall we? Minnesota. A wonderful and magical state that makes up the region of the U.S. known as the Midwest. A state known for having over 16,000 lakes, including the world's largest freshwater lake, the Twin Cities St. Paul and Minneapolis, the Juicy Lucy, Minnesota Vikings, and the home state of Prince.
Game. Blouses.
A state that is also known for its huge population of Scandinavians, mostly all that immigrated from Norway. But Minnesota is known for another thing. Known for bringing out the world one of the most energetic, unique, and aggressive metal bands. After the Burial. After the Burial formed in Minneapolis, Minnesota in the year 2004. Much like the band Trivium, they started the band in high school. After the Burial is considered key contributors to the development of subgenres such as gent and progressive metalcore, along with such other bands like Periphery, Veil of Maya, and Born of Osiris. It was during the late 2000s and early 2010s where the band made a steady growth with their releases Rare Form, In Dreams, and Wolves Within under their current label Sumerian Records. Everything was looking good for the band. But it would be into the year 2015 where the band experienced a tragedy in regards to their late guitarist, Justin Lowe. Justin Lowe officially left the band with a statement on June 24th, 2015, citing a mental breakdown caused by paranoid schizophrenia. Justin supposedly believed that the band, their record label Sumerian Records, and most people in his life were out to ruin him. After the Burial responded to Lowe's open letter the following day, confirming he was under severe mental distress and requested their fans to support Lowe during his time of recovery. Lowe was under care with his family at the time. On the evening of July 20th, 2015, Justin Lowe was pronounced officially missing, and search efforts had been put to place in order to find him. Lowe, age 32, was unfortunately found dead by a hiker on July 21st, 2015, directly underneath the Sioux Line High Bridge, while his car was found on the Minnesota side of the bridge. Authorities state that his death was consistent with that of a fall. It is currently unknown if the fall was accidental or intentional, but despite the tragedy of losing their friend, their bandmate, the band dug deep in 2016, releasing their follow-up for Wolves Within, Dig Deep, proving the world that despite a tragic loss of Justin Lowe, was not going to slow them down. And the band has been keeping up that spirit to this year in 2019 with their brand new release, Evergreen. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let us begin our review for Evergreen. Now, I'm gonna have to be really honest with you guys right here. Reviewing this album was a challenge. This entire series that I have made. Now, why do you say that, Atticus TheDeathMetaller? Before I get down onto who produced this album, I'm gonna talk about, how I found the producers and stuff. Because that's usually what I do when I start a TheDeathMetaller Reviews episode. I always go over and see who produced the album in question. And this was a bit of a challenge because I usually go to Wikipedia to check on who produced said album. And it turns out there wasn't any producer who made Evergreen. So I was left to a little bit of a dilemma here. Should I continue on regardless of saying who produced this album, or wait until more information comes out? And so I chose the latter. And so I decided to do a little bit of a quick sneak peek to see if anything changed off the Wikipedia. And lo and behold, at the very last minute while I am making this video right now, they have offered me who produced this album. So we're gonna do it right away, real quick. Evergreen was a collaborative effort between original member and founding member Trent Hofdahl and Will Putney. Now, Will Putney is known to have worked with such bands like The Acacia Strain, Body Count, Voyades Mere, Miss May I, and, oh boy, Stray from the Path.
You just got knocked the fuck out. The punishment fist the crime. Keep your head held high. You'll find out why that this racist ain't afraid to fly.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. It is the second album without their friend Justin Lowe. Also the second album that features their current bassist, Adrian Oriposa. Now, I will indeed admit this right now, as much as everyone really loves the song Lost in the Static off of their last album, Dig Deep, I'll have to say that Dig Deep, I was not really heavily invested off of that album. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely fucking love the song Lost in the Static. I mean, that's the song that some black guy used in one of his intros for his channel. But I really wasn't invested that much onto Dig Deep as much as I am with Rare Form, In Dreams, which is basically my bread and butter off the band, and Wolves Within, which is pretty much, in my personal opinion, their most musically aggressive and technical album that the band has ever made in their career. And it was the last album that featured Justin Lowe. But I will have to say, Evergreen is a fresh new start for the band. It is a level up off of Dig Deep, and I just gotta say, it's pretty much Dig Deep, but a lot more vibrant and a lot more aggressive and much more energetic. Now, it is not as heavy and musically aggressive as Wolves Within, but it ranks up there along with those three albums. And we are going to be reviewing some of those songs off of Evergreen right now. The first track on the list is, of course, the very first track of the album and the first single off of Evergreen, Behold the Crown. And I think all of us can really agree here. This is probably one of the best songs, not only off of this album, but of the band. I mean, Trent Hofdahl's, the riffs off of Trent Hofdahl at the very start of this song, it is almost in reminiscence of Pantera right there. You could sense the typical Genty Meshuggah sound along with a good blend of Pantera into the mix. I mean, after all, that's what Justin Lowe and Trent Hofdahl based a lot of their influences of After the Burial. And most of their riffs come from Pantera, but it is with this track right here, Behold the Crown, it is so much influence of Pantera right there. And oh my god, that song is just so amazing, and it is such a very fun and energetic song that I feel would be a very perfect song for the Circle Pit once, you see After the Burial come around in your town. I mean, this is a perfect Circle Pit song right here. Have a listen. The next track on the list is the second single that After the Burial brought up for us, Exit Exist. Now, this is another great track off of Evergreen, and it's the second track of this album, and the second best off of this album. Now, what I really liked about this album, mostly add to the chorus of the song, is just the riffs that Trent Hofdahl brings out onto the song. It sounds very epic and pretty much intense. Like, how I feel is that it's like an epic one-on-one fight in a fucking blizzard. That's what I really think about this song. But to explain the lyrics of this song, the vocalist, Anthony Nortomasu, whom is one of my favorite vocalists, really explained onto this song right here, in which he says, "When I write songs, they can sometimes not have an ideal, no concept or thoughts to begin them. It's a blank space, or more like a blacked out empty space. What works for me is I just relax and let my mind take over. I let whatever pictures or little movies form inside my head and play out. Exit Exists starts with the shape of a person looking at his arms and hands and then looking in towards the area of its chest. The chest has a small glow inside it, and this person would reach inside its body and try to pull this little light out to examine it. To me, it was a metaphor for a soul-searching human, a human that questions life, its own morals, meaning, and existence. A person who wants to learn and be the best version of itself, but also a person that is flawed and vulnerable to becoming unfulfilled and lost in existence. That's how the chorus became in the concept of the song. Those lines and those pictures were the foundation on which the rest was built. And that's a pretty good explanation onto this song, and really relatable to all of us, because in truth, all of us are pretty flawed human beings. Nobody is perfect, but we try our best to be the perfect selves we can be. But ultimately, I mean, we are always going to have curveballs thrown at our lives and everything in between. I mean, we all have to go through that. I'm going through that as well. But, you know, I think it's a very good explanation for this song and a very good idea for this song. And it really explains the struggles that all of us have to go through in life. So, enjoy. Song on our list is actually a really interesting song, 1126. Now, why do I say it's a very interesting song to review? Well, just due to the fact that the title of the song is the day of my birth. Yes, November 26th is the day that I was born. But also, this song has a lot of other great musical influences off of this track. It starts off like you would hear something off of a Kill Switch Engage song, the very beginning, and then a good portion of the rest of the song sounds like a typical, you know, hardcore band that's going around, because, I mean, After the Burial did start off a little bit with hardcore and metalcore, and then did their own genty progressive metalcore type of vibe with their albums Rare Form, In Dreams, Wolves Within, and Dig Deep, and with this album right here, Evergreen. So I think it's a really good thing to bring out some of the old influences back off of to your current work going on. And also that very awesome solo off of Trent Hofdahl at the very end. So it's a really great song, which is actually the song about how I was brought to the world. that's pretty cool. After the Burial, that's pretty cool. Have a listen. The next track off of this list is the song Influx, and oh boy, this song is an influx of pure, unadulterated, gent aggression. Now, of course, After the Burials, one of its biggest influences is that of Meshuggah, and also other bands of the like Born of Osiris, Veil of Maya, and Periphery that have influences of Meshuggah, but I think that After the Burial really perfected and almost like that of Meshuggah, though they have other influences and other diverse sounds of the band's catalog of other bands that they're influenced with. But they always come back to their original influence of that of Meshuggah. And it really does show off of this track. And it's indeed a very good Meshuggah-based, genty, aggressive mosh pit song that is just really good for the pent-up aggression that you can lay out onto the mosh pit, along with the very end, which is a very calm ending off of that song. So, have a listen, boys and gals. We are down to our final track off of this album, To Challenge Existence. And all I gotta say, This was a fun track to listen to. My god, it is such a fucking banger off this song. I would say it's one of their lighthearted, very positive songs musically. And the big thing that I really got off this song when I was trying to picture what this song would be perfect for and what was into my head off this song is basically if I was in a dance-off. Now, don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm a pretty good dancer when it comes to certain events here and there. I mean, I do a couple of basic breakdancing moves, as well as the worm. I mean, my boy Stoutmeister in the band of Legion knows this very well, and especially when I did the worm at the mosh pit in those 2 shows of Legion. But yeah, let's just say I love dancing when I feel the need to dance, but this is like a song definitely that would be very suited for like a very good breakdancing competition. If I was like at a god tier level of breakdancing, I would use that song. I would indeed use this song for my, if I ever gained the absolute god tier powers of breakdancing, unlike the breakdancing moves that I have right now. I mean, it's just very, very, very starter basic levels and stuff. I mean, don't judge me here, but still, this is definitely indeed a good song. If you're a perfectionist on breakdancing, this song would get you in the mood into serving the shit out of noobs on the dance floor. Have a listen.
Play for a lifetime, blurry necklace. Jump down to death and then push to the bank. To find the end. And in my end, the misery of it. And in my end, we'll see the brighter day.
Evergreen, I will indeed say, is a great follow-up from their 2016 release, Dig Deep. Anthony Nortomaso, always a god-tier vocalist for the band. Trent Hofdahl really just shows that he can do the band very well after the passing of Justin Lowe. Adrian Oropeza has proved to be a fine fit for their new bassist, and Dan Carl, without a doubt, one of my favorite drummers, especially on to After the Burial, has always shown that he is a damn good drummer off of this album and onto this band's entire career. All I gotta say is that Evergreen deserves to be onto the ranks of Rare Form, In Dreams, and Wolves Within. Though I will say Dig Deep was a good release, it does not compare to that of those albums that I've brought out forth. And Evergreen really just shows that the band, despite the tragedy of losing its member Justin Lowe, is not going to quit anytime soon. Evergreen, without a doubt, gets a 9 out of 10 off of this review. So, what'd you guys think about Evergreen? Did you like it or did you dislike it? Leave your comments down below. And stay tuned for more videos to come. Without further ado, ladies and gents, I am Atticus, the TheDeathMetaller. Hope you liked this video. Subscribe to my channel. Links are down in the description below. Keep it metal and have an excellent and blessed day, y'all.